Tonight's topic is personalized opportunities. And we noticed in COVID, and of course, everyone in the world, that we face challenges. We faced a school life over the past 2 years that's taught us so much about teaching, about serving, about building relationships with students, where they are in their learning. And as we learned along this journey, I think the power of relationships and serving our community has been our goal. I hope that tonight, one of the outcomes is that you see that this is a tour of listening, sharing, maybe not solving every issue tonight, but certainly being listeners and chasing after solving issues we have to get better every day after tonight ends. So again, tonight's talk is on personalized opportunities. We're getting ready to have a 3-month talk, so to speak. Tonight is that topic. Mental health will be our February 22nd topic. And I hope you hear tonight at the end, as we collect feedback from you, help design the topic of most need in our community for March. We'll have a 2 or 3 minute share around from our schools, just to give you a taste of what personalized opportunities are here at Perry. Some of which you may say, oh, I knew that. And some you may say, I had no idea we do those things. And those are the opportunities that I hope you engage tonight, whether it's through the chat, speak up at any time, conversations are open. So after our go around of 3 schools with a brief overview of personalized opportunities, that's where I hope that you feel comfortable just to interject and talk as needed. Please feel free to use the chat. If some of you want to get fancy and use the raise hand, you certainly can't do tonight wrong. And please, we just want your involvement. So we could find a myriad of definitions of what community is, but I hope tonight we look at community talks as a group of people who agree to listen, share, solve, and grow together. One of the feature points of our culture playbook here at Perry is that everyone matters. And if folks don't feel that they do, or others matter more than others, then those are things that we will certainly work on and get better at. Probably no news to you. The family size across our entire county is decreasing. And with that, Perry in itself has seen a decrease in our enrollment over a 15-year trend. What I think is the most powerful thing about being a part of this school system is that we're a small community that continually aims for world-class opportunities for our students. And as resources and enrollment change, we need to stay accountable to each other and listen along these opportunities together to make sure that we can put in front of our students the very best that we have to offer. So when we talk about personalized opportunities, I hope you get a sense that nothing is off the plate in terms of giving your feedback in terms of what you know your family, your child needs. You are the expert of your child, after all, and we are here to serve those needs. But as you kind of look across the pictures of what our offerings here at Perry, our aim, as our mission statement says, is to inspire learners every day, and that it's become one of our goals is become your personal best. But as I turn around and see, it's become a self-directed lifelong learner. And that has certainly, those words stand true today. And in today's learner, the things that we can do and place in front of them to get ready for this world that they will inherit is opportunities that neither you or I had probably in our school days. But with that comes challenges. We have an opportunity to learn within the 4 walls, to learn outside the 4 walls. We have opportunity to have our students network with others. Our technology has brought the world into our classrooms, and we have opportunities for our students to get real world opportunities in the field. So the doors, so to speak, of school has opened up. It's an exciting opportunity to be a part of schools, and I hope we give you a taste of that tonight. So let's go ahead and begin with a quick share around of what we would share with our community. We'll start with elementary. I believe Mrs. Needing is our taker on that one. And Mrs. Needing, go ahead and take it away for personalized opportunities that exist at the elementary school.
Thank you, Dr. Malczewski. So at the elementary, we really believe that it's our job to provide that solid foundation for our students. And so when we think of personalized learning, we're truly doing it, and our focus is on our teaching each and every day. And we allow for this opportunity because we utilize a specific structure at our school that allows us to meet the needs of all of our students. So Dr. Malczewski, if you want to go to the next slide, just so parents can have a visual. So we utilize what we call workshop structure that prioritizes personalized learning needs. And our workshop structure has three main components. So first we have a mini lesson, and much like a coach, the teacher begins a workshop with teaching one specific thing that most students are showing readiness for. The teacher demonstrates how to do this step by step, gives students a try to do it on their own, and then they launch off to our personalized learning time. And this is really the meat and potatoes of meeting the individual needs of our students. So during this time, students are practicing skills for what they're ready for. The teacher is moving throughout the room and delivering differentiated instruction, either to individual students or in small groups with like needs. And then they end the workshop structure with a teaching share that allows students to gather together and recap, bring some closure together, share some examples of what they learned, and then gives the teacher some time to kind of reteach the learning that had gone on. So for example, if I'm teaching a reading lesson, I may start off as a teacher to share a specific strategy on how to tackle tricky words. And so I'm going to demo that to my students. And then when it's time for them to go off to personalized learning, they're actually going and tackling this within their own text. So teachers are meeting them where they're at individually, or instead of just focusing in on that specific content, they're focusing in on phonics or fluency, or they're doing guided reading groups and challenging students at their instructional level, or pulling strategy groups where they're teaching specific skills. And what's wonderful about this time as well is that teachers are really able to take copious notes on where the students are performing that and using that to guide their instruction to personalize their needs even further. So then even when they go off to their teaching share, they may say, oh, I noticed that so-and-so applied this strategy from our mini lesson into their own text. And can you share that with the class? And so they're sharing all of their thinking and participating in all these wonderful things. So we really benefit from utilizing this structure in our day-to-day practices to meet the needs of our students. But obviously with elementary, we're not only focusing on academics, but the whole child. And so we're focusing on social and emotional learning as well. Our teachers start off their day with morning meetings, welcoming the class together, teaching some specific social skills. We ask for input of our students, and at the elementary, it may not be a surprise that a lot of students want some more strategies on how to self-regulate. I have these feelings and I have these emotions and I may not be able to articulate it appropriately. So how can you teach me some new coping strategies to help with that? So we're teaching into this by using zones of regulation to whole groups or small groups, but depending on student need as well. And so that's just a little bit of a taste of what we do at the elementary. And I'd be happy to talk with anyone further at a later time too, to discuss in more detail.
Appreciate that. To keep all the good thinking that you may be having and not lose that, parents, students, anyone on the call, would you use chat if there's something specific you'd like to hear back from elementary so we don't lose your thinking? In the meantime, let's head to middle school, and who is leading that one initially? Mr. Nisley.
Mr. Nisley. Thank you, Dr. Malczewski. So I would say we go back probably about 10 years ago when we wanted to take kind of a good look at what we were offering for students in terms of non-traditional experiences. And so if you look over to the left of this slide, you're going to see some non-typical courses that are offered or are in the process of being offered for our students. And so, one thing that, I definitely would like to kind of give credit to Dr. Thompson, Dr. Malczewski, is their constant push for us as principals to do whatever we can to meet a variety of needs of kids. And so we do that through some of our course offerings that we have. And then we also do that by kind of providing kind of scaffolding of supports or scaffolding of choices and options that allow kids to kind of be able to get what they need, whether that's enrichment opportunities or it's intervention opportunities that are there. So, we began probably about 10 years ago with some of our STEM and design learning. Alpha Project began as a high school kind of course to promote students to choose, kind of like a choose your own adventure, but it's like a choose your own community service based project, design thinking along the way. We've incorporated entrepreneurial learning into our curriculum, and I've currently got a team that is working on connected and authentic learning. That'll be moving forward here in the near future. And then over on the right, you've got your options for personalization. We've got accelerated math programming beginning in grade 5. As our students move through the middle school, you begin to see a wider variety of choices and options for kids. Getting into 7th and 8th grade, more honors programming that's available. And then a couple of things that, really a lot of parents don't think about, and we don't talk a whole lot about, is our college credit plus opportunities for students, as well as our credit flexibility options for students, being able to pick up high school credit in non-typical ways, as well as a whole assortment of intervention and mental health supports that we do with students along the way. I think I used more time than I was supposed to. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I remember a parent meeting in fall where we were asked for some middle school understanding of the flex period and what could a student do in that time that might meet their needs. Can you just tell a little bit more, Mr. Knight or Mr. Chisholm, what flex period means at the middle school and what options there are for students to utilize that time in new or unique ways that parents may not be aware of?
So I'll start first, because this flexible time is something that I brought with me from when I was a classroom teacher many years ago, and it has grown to. If you could flip to that slide, please? It's grown to be. And the reason why we call it flexible is because we want teachers and students to have the flexibility of time within their day for a number of needs that they have and that we have. And so probably the first and foremost, the primary need is small group reteach and intervention that occurs. And that happens on almost a daily basis. We've got students that move throughout the school during their flex time to go get additional help from a teacher, or to get specific intervention, or to get small group reteaching that happens. We also use our flexible time to be able to allow our guidance counselor to get in to meet with students, whether it's for the purposes of what we're going to be moving into here shortly, registration and scheduling of students, to provide some of our guidance programming that has been adopted middle school and high school. We have students who do group lessons with some of our counselors and mental health folks that come in from the outside. We've done some leadership training with kids. Sometimes it's used almost like a study hall where kids are getting homework done. And there are other times in which some of our teams are using it for students to be able to work in iReady, which is our 5-8 intervention program.
Mr. Chisholm, anything you would add to that?
No, I think that pretty much covers the way in which the teachers take advantage of that flexible period.
All right, parents, students, make sure you give us some chat conversation, because we want to make sure that there's any questions that arise, we address those as well. We will certainly head back to middle school questions. Let's get a little bit of a understanding of personalized opportunities at the high school. Mr. Porcello?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Malczewski. when I look at the personalized opportunities, I look at two goals that we have. Number one, to create as many opportunities as possible to meet the wide range of needs and interests and strengths that our kids have. And then number two, provide that one-to-one personalization to make sure that parents and students are aware of the unique opportunities that we do offer. We care holistically about the kid and making sure that they're in a good place mentally, physically, academically, and that they're ready for their future. So within the programs that we try to build, some of those include branching out, for example, like a Perry Service Learning, which is a senior level class where a student can be involved in community service several days a week, has an opportunity to explore a career and the benefits of service learning. We also have a course called our internship course where kids can go out and pursue a career, spending 3 days out in the field with a professional in their area of choice. So once again, our focus here is on the personalization and helping them explore those strengths and interests that they have. Recently, we started the house renovation course. We're actually in year 3 of that, another hands-on experience. And then we've maintained the traditional type of experience, an advanced placement course and a college credit plus that allows the college-bound student to challenge themselves with a college level course and get that feedback and see where they're at so that they have that rigorous experience before they step foot on a college campus. So when you look at a variety of those opportunities above, a lot of that comes down to making sure that students have the one-on-one guidance and advising. And I'm fortunate to work with 2 wonderful school counselors and a career advisor that meet with students and really want to sit down with parents and students to make sure that we can look at the kids' strengths, look at the interest, and dive into what opportunities we have out there. Continuing on, we have our PAVE program, where Pirates Acquiring Vocational Educational Skills, wonderful program there. And then our electives, if you don't like one of the electives we actually have a course called You Design It, where you can work with Mrs. Milky and create your own entrepreneurial type of experience or a topic that you want to pursue. And then Auburn Career Centers out there, which has been around for decades, but kids can go out and leave Auburn Career Center and graduate from Auburn and Perry with a certification in a specific area. So when you look at all those opportunities, once again, I must stress that it's about seeking the help, providing that one-on-one guidance and advising that our staff is so ready to do and willing to do to make sure that our students are in a good place. So I'm fortunate to work with a great staff. We're fortunate to have a wide range of opportunities. And we want to make sure ultimately our goal is that kids are enrolled in college, employed in a quality wage earning job, enlisted in the military, or seeking an entrepreneurial type of venture for their future.
Thank you, Todd. I'd like to turn back into the chat to see what we can follow up on from on personalized opportunities. I see that we have a question. What is being done to help students realize that Flex is not just a study hall? This is a middle school question. Mr. Chisholm, would you care to field that one?
Sure. Yeah, I think that the hard part about that question is that sometimes for some students, it is, depending on the circumstance. It certainly isn't always, or probably the dominant part of the time. But when you have students, in order to make room for things like, 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, reteach of a subject or an enrichment activity for students that are accelerating ahead, teachers need to find creative ways in which to work with the students around them. So there are definitely times in which the rest of the student body in a flex period are either working in their iReady, components for the week, or they're doing assignments from different classes. It really is meant to be a no new instruction period, which means they are generally doing things, that they've already learned. The way in which I think we're going to grow as a school is probably through the design process. You heard Bob talk about a little bit, and this idea of letting kids kind of move across the hall during these shared no new instruction periods so they can collaborate with kids that they have projects going on with in other content areas. And I think as we become comfortable, over the next year or two with that kind of integration of things like math and science and the STEM class that students are taking, we'll be able to find creative scheduling ways where if a student, isn't being pulled in for a small group reteach, or they're not a part of some enrichment activity, that they can move across a hallway, find their STEM partner that's doing kind of a cross-content science project, and tackle that during that time. So that's probably the ways that we're going to go about making sure that that time is valued, both by the teacher and certainly by the student.
Mr. Kellogg, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I think we're just going to get right into some of our pre-made questions here that some people filled out. One of them is inquiring, well, we're going to start with the elementary school. One of them is inquiring about STEM opportunities. What kind of opportunities are available or will be available in the future? Ariana, if you want to take that.
Yeah, so right now we do have a design learning course that all of our students in kindergarten and fourth grade access. It's within their specials rotation. So you may hear about some of your students participating in a lot of environmental factors with that. They are inside, or they go outside often and participating in the design process. We also recently launched a new school within a school called the Perry Ingenuity Institute that utilizes the design process to support our main language arts and mathematics skills and help solve science and social science problem solving as well. So we continue to think of ways that we can support, that aspect at our school, but always open to new ideas that you have as well as how we can continue that work here at the elementary.
Great. So we have some guidance personnel on. We had some comments in regards to social interactions in COVID and, with social distancing restrictions and just student mental health. Does someone from guidance want to jump in and talk about maybe some mental health supports that are in place for some of these students?
As the question specifically, how could now the students are back after having been restricted?
It wasn't specific. It was just talking about socialization and interactions with peers during COVID is how it's phrased.
Well, we have many supports. Of course, all students, we have counselors. We're fortunate to have counselors in all three buildings. So students are welcome to meet one-on-one with the counselors. In some of the buildings, I believe elementary and middle school, there is also lunch bunch. We also have a district social worker who meets with students to help bridge the gap once now students have come back from COVID and such. And for students who might need a further need, we have Crossroads in the district that we can get students connected to, as well as Anchor as well. And then for any students or families that might need outside resources, we have connections that we can, or the resources and phone numbers that we can provide families with as well.
And we've done a lot of like surveying and asking our teachers if they do see some concerns in the classroom, and we used a little bit of the panorama data to start doing a little bit more frequent check-ins on kids that may be struggling a little bit more now that we are back in person. So we try and collect as much feedback from people who are working with those children every day and provide the best supports for that kid.
I think it's really important also, I appreciate you saying that, Kelly, is that even though kids might be fine today, that may change tomorrow, that may change the next week. And so it's important that those check-ins and the feedback that the students give us through those surveys is what's directly used to see or find the child that may be hurting, that doesn't really speak up to tell or us to know. So I'm just really thrilled of what I see more and more happening in our guidance department, where they're using check-ins, and not that that's new, but using data to say, oh my goodness, there's a student in need that maybe I didn't even think of because they weren't coming to my office. in an era that we're in, I think those check-ins are critical, and the feedback our kids give us on a regular basis, or is telling us what's working, what's not, and maybe preventative type things that need to be discussed even more. So
I had a question actually about the surveys too. My daughter had brought up the issue, as well as not just my daughter, it's also several of her friends, that they felt that they couldn't be totally honest on some of those surveys because they have to put their student number in, and they felt that they could be identified by that. So, and I know that's part of the purpose of that is to identify, who needs that extra help. But I guess, if we're looking at programs as a whole to help the whole district community, I don't know if we're capturing some, honest feedback, if that makes sense.
yeah, that's always a tough one. Hi, April. It's good to see you. It's one of the things in our behaviors we want to see is that people can come forward and we talk to each other and not around topics. And it's one of the things that, not directly answering your question, but I will hopefully get to that, is in an era where it's so important, if there is an issue that we can support with, calling the principal directly if the family knows something is, or the teacher, any adult that's most closely connected, is the first step that we can do. You mentioned the element of students sharing their voice, but maybe not wanting to give their identity. I think one of the best things they can do is try, if their identity is something that truly is not a benefit to the issue, I really would love to see people, without having to use their identity, use our Safe School hotline, use that opportunity to tell a story that needs to be told to a responsible adult who would fetch that question as soon as possible and be able to do something with it. But I do know that students sharing their story and us knowing who that story is from is one of the quickest ways to us to serve the needs of that student. So I hope they feel in the privacy of their guidance counselor, who is trained to deal with so much in a private way, getting kids the services they need without any other adults in the school having to know. I hope that trust is there, and I hope they use that vehicle.
All right. We're gonna go back to the elementary school for a moment, and we're going to talk a bit about, we had more than one comment asking about Spanish programming at the elementary, and they'd like more of it. So Ariana, I'll let you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I know some parents have commented that they are missing some of the Spanish within our specials rotation. It used to be a special within our K4. So they would go to, PE, music, art, Spanish. What we have now is we have it for our students that will, in previous years, we've had 3rd and 4th grade, but this year is with 4th grade, an intensive foreign language program that really hones in even more on teaching into the language. So students that are interested in participating are doing it every day for 30 minutes as part of an enrichment. And we find that when they participate in IFL, they're on a track of developing some really strong language in that area, and are even able to come out with high school credit by the end of the middle school year for following that track. So we kind of switch from having it within our specials rotation to have a little bits and pieces every now and then to a more intensive program for our older students.
Great.
I would also add that our, I don't think it's a race to get a high school credit in Spanish or a foreign language, but for some families, it is an opportunity they see to earn high school credits for Spanish or another language in the middle school years. We're noticing there is no less amount, and actually a peak in how many students are earning Spanish or other foreign language earlier than high school than we've had before. Again, I know there's several reasons why families opt to do that, but I also wanted to circle around and say there's certainly no race to get there as well. For younger or families on the call, younger children, the so-called interest, I guess, to get the Spanish credit early or the other foreign language, might be sign language, early, is sometimes that opens up the high school schedule for other things that the student knows that they're interested in doing. For our students that go onward to earn a language at the first level, second level, and third level, there's also opportunities there for them to learn to earn a foreign language diploma. And I probably, Mrs. Gigante, if there's anything I needed to add to that conversation, please pipe in with me. But I do want to share that our data is telling us that there is no less, because of our students not learning Spanish from K through 4, we certainly are not seeing any less students earning high levels of foreign language credit. There's also thinking in the district that, truly to be the type of early second language, dual language type of an environment here at Perry, all the studies in the country typically show that what that takes is a full immersion type of elementary, not an elementary that might get a foreign language once or twice a week. And so schools that often raise the understanding that we're teaching Spanish, we're teaching a second language in elementary, dig deep into those settings. Oftentimes it may be one time a week. And over the longevity of elementary, there is not a proficient level 1 of language earned in those settings. We noticed that in our students certainly gain from understanding culture, understanding basic fundamental words of the second language. By in no means were they ready, in our data collected over time from K through 4, of mastery of a level 1, unless they were in a setting where it was taught in an intensive way, such as a daily way or a much more frequent way.
So at this point, do you think it will return to the lower grades at some point in some shape or form?
It is right now at the 4th grade level, right, Mrs. Sneeding?
Yes, correct.
At the 4th grade level, and that's where we see it staying at the elementary for now. Yes, as far as it returning, there's no discussions on that to date.
All right. So for a moment, I just want to go back and talk about a little bit about connected and authentic learning a bit more. Cal, going on at the middle school coming up, and I certainly don't want to lose sight of it or gloss over it because it's an amazing thing happening over there. As Bob, Jim, do either of you want to talk a bit about that a bit and what we have to look forward to there?
Do you want to slide? You want to unhide that slide? I did put a slide in there on that.
Awesome.
So just a brief, if I can be brief.
Sure.
Never been accused of being brief.
And just to check, which slide would you like?
The one that says Connected and Authentic Learning Academy. It's a hidden slide.
We'll hunt that up. You go ahead and begin talking.
Okay, so we go back really to 2017, possibly earlier with, and Dr. Malcheski can speak to this a lot in greater detail than I can, but the work of authentic learning really goes back to really our time as an administrative team, and trying to really think about what is the most effective way to engage students in their learning. And so we spent a lot of time, a lot of research, a lot of professional development with staff on kind of putting the building blocks of authentic learning together. And we did this in coordination with an instructional technique called formative instructional practices. And that really, those two pieces were really kind of the cornerstones for professional development in the district for a number of years. Unfortunately, with COVID and some of the other things that kind of have come up over the last year or so, we kind of steered away from that and really tried to make the focus, especially for our staff, getting our staff trained and giving them the ability to really focus on the needs and well-being of students. And so that's why on several of the slides that you've seen, there's been a lot of like discussion about social emotional support, interventions that are occurring, because we have seen a spike in those issues with our student populations across the board. And it seems to be kind of affecting kids at earlier and earlier ages every year. So that's kind of some of the background stuff. We decided that this would be a really good opportunity this year to really kind of dive in and re-immerse ourselves in this work of authentic learning. And so, during this school year, I've got a team of teachers that are they're researching, they're doing professional development, and they're dabbling in this work with the idea that we're going to implement and launch our Connected and Authentic Learning Academy next year. So we've got a wide variety of these authentic experiences that happen throughout our school. And these are two of these pictures, and I deleted a few pictures from this slide from over the years of just authentic experiences that students have been able to be involved in throughout their time at Perry Middle School. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a pathway that connects our kids to the school, the community, the world around them, because we know they have instant access to information and content. And what is the most important thing is giving them the ability to process that content, giving them the ability to experience the content in a way that's hands-on, or being able to create and construct and do. And so that's kind of the general gist of where we're at with that. We actually have a session tomorrow. I'm working with the team tomorrow in professional development, and we're very excited about what this project has for us and what it can do for our school.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Nisley. So I see a comment here about not knowing about the Safe School Hotline, and that's certainly something that we can help push out a little bit more and get that out there via social media and stuff like that.
Can I jump in real quick and to speak on that?
Yeah.
We like you said, we can work on that better, but I believe all classrooms have magnets. The buildings have posters as well. The kids might just be so used to seeing them, they may not realize what they are, but I think every classroom probably has them like in the front of the teacher's desk and such, but we can maybe get a message to our teachers just to check, make sure they have them there. And if they don't, we can get a message out tomorrow, whichever classrooms don't have them, we'll make sure they have them, that they do get them rather.
And to follow up to April's question too, when we submit that, when we send the panorama data, the survey to the students, which it is really a powerful tool when we can, at a very kind of small level, connect kids to results, because it does work really effectively to put things in front of us that we might have missed and are really, really important. But that might also give us a really nice opportunity to say, hey, if there's things that you just don't feel comfortable sharing, in this survey that you really want to, we really need to hear, but you want to do so anonymously, here's a direct link to submit that. So maybe seeing those two things at the same time as an alternative, like at the end of the survey, might give kids a good opportunity to put things in anonymously that they didn't feel comfortable sharing in the survey itself.
Awesome, thank you. So we're going to move on to group discussion and kind of open it up. I know there have been questions about bullying, and that's certainly an important topic. unfortunately, that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about personalized learning. I think that's something that will certainly be gotten to as we talk next month, I believe, about mental health. So,
Kellogg, if I could just interrupt, the topic is so important, though, there's no need to wait till February 22nd to certainly get to whatever your family or your child's needs are. Our district has policy on bullying. One of the first things is, of course, tell someone, make sure that you don't feel you need to endure something. Make sure you tell an adult immediately. There is much more to this than oftentimes matters that are dealing with of this nature sometimes are simply one-time acts that are poor social skills on another person, hurting and being unkind to another. We address that through talks, through modeling, through discussing, through letting families know. But if you're a family on the end of someone who has been hurt, in my experience, you may not know what has happened as a result of the matter. And that is frustrating. In talking with parents, my understanding is that even though a consequence, or more importantly, a teaching opportunity for the student who is being unkind and trying to make someone a victim, so to speak, is oftentimes not known to the family of the child that's been hurt. And as I say that again, I want you to know that if that is a concern, that you feel like it's not been followed up on, there is no harm at all in calling our principals and asking that was something done. We can't always tell you what was done or how the matter was handled, but we certainly can tell you that something was done, and without going into a personal nature of that other child. I just wanted to say, even if it's not a topic of tonight, as an educator, as a mom, as a friend, this matter is important, and best thing to do is to make sure our school offices know. If you don't think we've handled it, please follow up and say, was it handled? Can you give me some details around the matter? We certainly can't give you personal details on another child, but we will help you to understand the nature of how it was handled. Oftentimes, these matters happen specifically at the middle school level, that very developmental stage that a child's at. I remember myself at that age. And I want you to know that that is some of our most intense conversations about our culture, about the behaviors we expect, and about the social skills it takes to get there. These are matters of kindness. These are matters of students learning to regulate themselves, both verbally, nonverbal hurt that they can do to other children, but it's also a matter of the outer world that our children are witnessing at this time. It's a matter of what we might be seeing our adults doing in the world. So I say that we're a community that wants to come together on this topic and get better no matter what age or stage in life we are, be better for our fellow person. But I didn't want it to go unsaid tonight that we're going to wait very long on this topic. Anytime you call our school offices, you can get an answer on this topic. If you feel you haven't, make sure you've called. I don't know of a single family that in their frustrations, it hasn't come about in the conversation that we don't think it was handled. We don't know if it was handled. And one of the things we owe you is to let you know the reassurance that it has, and that leave it to us to also heavily monitor the situation that it doesn't happen again. It's the nature of kids that some things do happen again, and that is on our families, on ourselves to work together on what are those teaching moments, what skills do we need to reteach, and support each other in this. This is a journey together, and schools and families together, I think, can get exactly where we need to be. This is not a topic that's over in our district or in all the many districts dealing with this same topic across the country.
May I say something?
Sure can.
You know, I'm a grandmother there, and I kind of have gotten involved in this. And what I'm seeing is my daughter-in-law and my son and my grandchildren, they are going through the correct avenues. They're following the steps that you have for bullying, and it's not ending. This has been going on for 2 years now, and this group was formed to address the bullying and to see what can be done. I don't feel, I've spoken with the principal, and I'm sure he doesn't want to speak to me any longer, but I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, I think this needs to really be addressed. And that's what this group was formulated to do. And now we're talking about other things. And it seems that it's always ignored. That's how I see it. It's being ignored.
Mrs. Armington, I want to, if I can help in any way, this is a brand new group. This is the first time we've
I
met.
know.
Okay.
Isn't this the bowling group though? That's April, I think, if you want to chime in. I thought that this was.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk over anyone. I was going to try and wait until everyone was kind of done with their pieces, but I'll chime in now. I just want to, if you don't already know me, I'm April Frazier. I have a daughter in the middle school and a daughter in the elementary school. This is my husband who's hiding on the side of the camera. That's Tony. That's Tony, their dad. But our group is totally separate from the school's community talks that we're having right now. Dr. Malcheski and our parent group have really tried to collaborate to come up with some different things. And this was just one of them. Our hope is that we can turn it into like a continuing thing where we can address the exact topics that you're talking about. I think that it feels frustrating right now because we've been saying over and over and over again that this is an issue. And believe me, I haven't been in this district for very long. I know that parents have been saying it's been years and years and years and nothing has been done. So that's the reason I kind of brought some parents in together. What I got me excited about tonight was talking about personalized learning, as I felt like it related to social emotional issues and mental health issues, which we touched on a little bit. But I think maybe the idea of and topics of what were talked about tonight were communicated in a misconstrued way, I guess, to our parent group. So I apologize if there's any frustrated feelings out there, but we're going to keep talking about it. And, we're not letting anybody off the hook.
Our last meeting in November was a request to make sure we understood programming, especially the flex period, the options that kids, because as we talked about unkind behaviors, it led our group in November, the Pirate Parents for Peace group, to mention like, well, what are some of the opportunities for growth, opportunities for growing social skills in students? And it was specifically, if there is an open 40-minute of flex daily for students, what can students do with that time? Because part of the solution is teaching the skills that are needed to be good community members with each other, right? Kids with kids, peers with kids, to know that when you've hurt me, how to know that socially I've hurt you, or to just move on in the hall, call you a name and walk away, right? So one of the first steps is understanding the spaces in our school, then the time in our school, that other than academics, some real needs are taught with the family support and understanding the social skills that are needed.
What about there are programs that address bullying specifically, and I understand, and you're trying to do something positive. I think that's great, but it doesn't seem to be helping, because I've even spoken with some people that had graduated from Perry, and they said and their kids, they've even pulled their kids out of Perry because of the bullying. It got so bad. And I can appreciate that that's, you're trying to do this, but I don't think my grandchildren would think that the flex program is something to do about bullying per se, but I'm just, I know that there are programs out there that address bullying specifically.
And I think
And I
that's
was wondering if the school would bring something like that in.
note taken. Absolutely. I think we can look at that. Nothing's in our talks are off the board. I appreciate the advice. Part of our counseling and our supports is what we do to prevent things like this as well. And then as we wrap up, this leads us nicely into our February topic, which is skills of teaching kids, but also to prevent the behaviors, but also to teach kids who are already faced with some of this, how to self-regulate, how to support their own mental health in these issues, and how to be to create an atmosphere of real anti-bullying behaviors in our schools and across our world, right? But most importantly, where we can affect change right now. So this was intended to help you see the open-endedness of schools today, where we can schedule some new and unique things that specific kids need, whether it be peer relationships, treating others wine. And as much as we may say, well, that's common sense, we all should treat each other kindly. We all should use appropriate words. And when we're mad, we should handle our madness like this, but that is a part of growing up. And with families helping us to understand how we can work through this together. I don't want to Pollyanna this in any way, but tonight was to show you the room and space now that exists in our schools for these teachings. Also to give you a hint of what preventative pieces our guidance counseling is focused on as we teach kids to become the community members we want them to be. And then next month when we talk, if you are a family faced with some of these issues where you notice that students that you know or students in your care are having some issues with some of these behaviors, these growing up behaviors that are so important, we'll have a specialist as well on the call to support some of that. So I hope you saw this as an opportunity to not only to see the room and space in our schedules to build into this, but also to listen tonight, take in what was just said, notes taken about, do we want to look at specific programming, or is it about our culture and the beliefs and just teaching into those beliefs? But we want to do this together. We're on a journey with this with you. And we're certainly not saying that an issue doesn't exist. I know of every school in the county that's dealing with this issue, and it hasn't gone away for years. And it's not just specific to Perry, but we want to work here at Perry for sure. And so our next hour together will be February 22nd at minimum, or anytime you want to pick up the call. And we will be working on some of the preventative actions of growing up, guiding our students, and should we have students that are already in need of not showing signs of this, but needing further interventions and treatment, perhaps even a third layer of mental health, we will conquer that topic again together. Again, if you have an issue that is something that's bubbled up that needs attention, that something is not being handled right now, please call any of us on the call and we're here to help you. We want to work through this together. We want to be the district of choice that certainly isn't known for what was said, Mrs. Armstrong and or Mrs. Armington, I know Amington, right? Yes, Armington. We certainly believe much more in our district than just that, but we want to work with people like you to make sure that we hear what could we do? Have we thought about doing that? And if not, why not? So topic isn't going away. It's most fitting for next month, but I certainly didn't want tonight to go by to think that we couldn't hedge into it at all.
I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
It was getting frustrating because, I thought, but thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and what you're trying to do.
I understand. I think it takes a village to get some of this through. And I think you going out and sharing of what is possible and making sure we think of everything we possibly can as we work alongside you, we're going to get there. I have great hope in everyone.
What I think part of the problem is, I'm sorry that I spoke over you, but I think part of the problem is it's the kids, their parents, the parents of the bullies. I think that it starts there, but I know you want to be conscientious of time, so I'll stop there. But I think that has a lot to do with it. I don't think those parents that have the bullies are probably taking interest in this call.
Well, I have to say, I appreciate each and every one of you on the call tonight. I think together we'll co-create some solutions in the district. The topics aren't going away. And our March topic will be specifically designed you can tell there's not a topic in mind, and that's intentional, and that's because it's going to come from our community, what we need to preserve that hour in March to address. So again, I want to be respectful of your time. I'll go ahead, Mr. Kellogg, and close this out so that we
Yep.
can be respectful of everyone's time. I appreciate, please tell someone to join us next month as well as we grow in this communication and get better every day. Thank you.
Real quick, are we able to put this anywhere for people to view later?
Mr.
I can,
Kellogg.
yeah, I can certainly post a link on our website, yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
thank you.
Betty Jo, can you answer real quick? There was a question about what Panorama survey was. Can you, in a nutshell,
Yes.
answer that? I just didn't want that to go unmissed.
Yes, a wellness survey in our district, as much as you have probably heard your whole life of how we benchmark academics, how our kids are growing from fall, winter to spring. We began 3 years ago, prior to COVID, for grades 3 through 12, doing a well-being survey, which taps into questions to our students on the topics actually you see on the screen here. We use kid-friendly language. However, it's your ability for positive feelings, how you feel about your school. Do you have relationships in the school? Is there a positive adult you can go to at home or at school? That's important. Your sense of belonging in this school. When people make you mad, and this is getting to that self-regulation issue on the middle of the blue box there, kids who can, and self-regulation gets you into topics we discussed here tonight, but it's tapping into questions about how you feel inside and how you're able to calm yourself or lash out. And that then allows us to identify kids with particular needs. All kids, we all aren't great at all of these things on every given day in our lives, but when we see trends of questions being answered in a very similar way, that lets us feel or lets us see that well-being of a student is of concern. We treat it just like we do academics. We draw that data, guidance counselors, principals, mental health, social workers in the district. We gather around that, and that becomes our unique service plans in the days and the months to come. So Panorama is a wellness survey currently given in the district to grades 3 through 12.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Good night, everyone.